Thank you, Presiding Officer. Essentially, this debate is about the competition, the tension that there is between social embarrassment in talking about the function of our bowels or our bladders and the underlying medical urgency that may be associated with such dysfunctions. Because if the social embarrassment wins, then that has the risk of delaying the opportunity to engage with medical assistance and advice that may well be necessary to protect us from severe impacts from underlying conditions that need urgent attention. Now, I will say for my own part in this debate, and when I look at members' debate, I often learn things that I simply hadn't been aware of. And it had never occurred to me that this particular issue had a gender aspect to it. At my age, perhaps, you might forgive me for being perhaps a little fixated about the future prospects of the operation of the older gentleman's prostate, neglecting to understand the issues associated with pregnancy and incontinence in females, and indeed hearing that it's a bigger problem for the female than it is for the male. So, for my part, I have learned something. But I hope, too, that this debate, which Alec Cole-Hamilton has brought to us, and I'm very grateful for his doing so, will more broadly enable people to feel a little bit more comfortable about talking about issues that are rarely discussed at the dinner table. Because it is an issue that is important. Caledonian University in Glasgow reports that 30 to 40% of people over 65 living in their own homes and 70% of frail older people living in care homes struggle with incontinence. So it's not a matter of any triviality. And despite what Alison Johnson said, and I will look for some of the references she made, I haven't previously thought it was a matter of humour. But if humour is a vehicle for making it something that we can talk about and make sure we recognise, then that's very much to be welcome. Healthcare professionals, a lot is expected of them. But in this particular condition, I hope that practice nurses, who are often going to be the ones who may be consulted, perhaps rather than GPs, have the appropriate training and the sensitivity to raise with patients what may be something of considerable embarrassment. Patients will often go to their primary health provider for a reason other than this, and it may emerge as a secondary thing that comes out, or it may be something that simply questions about general health from the primary health provider. It will reveal that there is an incontinence problem that is part of the patient's deterioration in general health. So I hope that midwives, health visitors, physiotherapists, practice nurses and GPs are in future better equipped and more comfortable with raising difficult issues around incontinence. The key point, as the Australian numbers illustrate, that if we tackle this early in the occurrence of a problem, there is a real economic saving besides the real benefit to the quality of life of people who suffer from incontinence. Sustained and regular exercise, yes, that's important and helpful, with the caveats that I've just heard. But the potential to alleviate unnecessary pain, anxiety and aggravation, and to improve the quality of mental health of people who suffer from incontinence, this is a subject which has too long been neglected. This debate is a contribution, but not the end of the story, in improving things for incontinence sufferers. Presiding Officer.